This book is dedicated to the free, creative martial artist. Take what is useful and develop from there into a soul absolutely free from thoughts and emotion. Even the tiger finds no room to insert its fierce claws. One and the same breeze passes over the pines on the mountain and the oak trees in the valley. And why do they give different notes? No thinking, no reflecting. Perfect emptiness. Yet therein something moves, following its own course. The eye sees it, but no hands can take hold of it. The moon and the stream, clouds and mists, they are mid-air transformations. Above them eternally shine the sun and the moon. Victory is for the one, even before the combat, who has no thought of himself, abiding in the no-mindness of great origin. The martial arts including boxing. The martial arts are based upon understanding, hard work and a total comprehension of skills. Power training and the use of force are easy, but total comprehension of all of the skills of the martial arts is very difficult to achieve. To understand, you must study all of natural movement in all living things. Naturally, you can understand the martial arts of others. You can study the timing and the weaknesses. Just knowing these two elements will give you the capacity to knock him down rather easily. The heart of the martial arts is in understanding techniques. To understand techniques, you must learn that they contain a lot of condensed movement. This may look quite awkward. When you start to learn it, you will find that it is awkward to you. That is because a good technique includes quick changes, great variety and speed. It may be a system of reversals, much like a concept of God and the devil. In the speed of events, which one is really in charge? Do they change places with lightning speed? The Chinese believe so. To put the heart of the martial arts in your own heart and have it be a part of you means total comprehension and the use of a free style. When you have that, you will know that there are no limits. Precautions on physical techniques. Some martial arts are very popular, real crowd pleasers, because they look good, have smooth techniques. But beware. They are like a wine that has been watered. A diluted wine is not a real wine, not a good wine, hardly the genuine article. Some martial arts don't look so good, but you know that they have a kick, a tang, a genuine taste. They are like olives. The taste may be strong and bittersweet. The flavor lasts. You cultivate a taste for them. No one ever developed a taste for diluted wine. Acquired talent and natural talent. Some people are born with good physiques, a sense of speed and a lot of stamina. That's fine. But in the martial arts, everything you learn is an acquired skill. Absorbing a martial art is like the experience of Buddhism. The feeling for it comes from the heart. You have the dedication to get what you know you need. When it becomes part of you, you know you have it. You succeed at it. You may never fully understand all of it, but you keep at it. And as you progress, you know the true nature of the simple way. You may join a temple or a Kune. You observe nature's simple way. You experience a life you never had before. Introduction. My husband Bruce always considered himself a martial artist first and an actor second. At the age of 13, Bruce started lessons in the Wing Chun style of Kung Fu for the purpose of self-defense. Over the next 19 years, he transformed his knowledge into a science, an art, a philosophy and a way of life. He trained his body through exercise and practice, he trained his mind through reading and reflecting, and he recorded his thoughts and ideas constantly over the 19 years. The pages of this book represent the pride of a life's work. In his lifelong quest for self-knowledge and personal expression, Bruce was constantly studying, analyzing and modifying all available relative information. His principal source was his personal library, which consisted of over 2,000 books dealing with all forms of physical conditioning, martial arts, fighting techniques, defenses and related subjects. In 1970, Bruce sustained a rather severe injury to his back. His doctors ordered him to discontinue the practice of martial arts and to remain in bed to allow his back to heal. This was probably the most trying and dispiriting time in Bruce's life. He stayed in bed, virtually flat on his back for 6 months, but he couldn't keep his mind from working, the result of which is this book. The bulk of these writings was done at that time, but many scattered notes were recorded at earlier and later times. Bruce's personal study notes reveal that he was particularly impressed by the writings of Edwin L. Hazlitt, Julio Martinez Costello, Hugo and James Costello and Roger Crosnier. Many of Bruce's own theories are directly related to those expressed by these writers. Bruce had decided to finish the book in 1971, but his film work kept him from completing it. He also vacillated about the advisability of publishing his work because he felt it might be used for wrong purposes. He did not intend it to be a how-to book or a learn kung fu in 10 easy lessons book. He intended it as a record of one man's way of thinking and as a guide, not a set of instructions. If you can read it in this light, there is much to be aware of on these pages. And, you probably will have many questions, the answers to which you must seek within yourself. When you have finished this book, you will know Bruce Lee better, but hopefully you will also know yourself better. Now, open your mind and read, understand, and experience, and when you've reached that point, discard this book. The pages are best used for cleaning up a mess, as you will see. Linda Lee. In the hands of a singular man, simple things carefully play string with an undeniable harmony. Bruce's orchestration of martial arts had that quality, most apparent in his combat motion. Immobilized for several months with an injured back, he picked up the pen. There, too, he wrote as he spoke, as he moved, with directness and with honesty. Like listening to a musical composition, understanding the elements within it adds a specialness to the sound. For this reason, Linda Lee and I are liberalizing the introduction of Bruce's book to explain how it came about. The Tao of Jeet Kune Do actually began before Bruce was born. The classical Wing Chun style that started him on his way was developed 400 years before his time. The 2,000 or so books he owned and the countless books he read, describe the individual discoveries of thousands of men before him. There's nothing new within this book, there are no secrets. It's nothing special, Bruce used to say. And so it wasn't. Bruce's special key was knowing himself and his own capabilities to correctly choose things that worked for him and to convey those things in movement and in language. He found in the philosophies of Confucius, Spinoza, Krishnamurti and others, an organization for his concepts and, with that organization, he began the book of his Tao. The book when he died was only partially completed. Though it spanned 7 volumes, it filled only one. Between major blocks of copy were unnumbered pages of unused paper, each headed by simple titles. Sometimes he wrote introspectively, asking questions of himself. More often he wrote to his invisible student, the reader. When he wrote quickly, he sacrificed his practiced grammar, and when he took his time, he was eloquent. Some of the material within the volumes was written in a single setting and had the natural progression of a well-outlined conversation. Other areas were sudden inspirations and incomplete ideas that were quickly scribbled as they entered Bruce's head. These were scattered throughout the work. In addition to the 7 hardbound volumes, Bruce wrote notes throughout the development of his Jeet Kune Do and left them in stacks and drawers among his belongings. Some were outdated and others were more recent and still valuable to his book. With the help of his wife, Linda, I collected and scanned and thoroughly indexed all the material. Then, I tried to draw the scattered ideas together into cohesive blocks. Most of the copy was left unchanged and the drawings and sketches are his own. The book's organization, however, could not have been justly done were it not for the patient attention of Danny and Essendo, his assistant instructors and class of senior students. It was they who took my 8 years of martial arts training, threw it out on the floor and turned the theories into action with their knowledge. They have my gratitude both as the editor of this book and, separately, as a martial artist. It should be mentioned that the Tao of Jeet Kune Do is not complete. Bruce's art was changing every day. Within the 5 ways of attack, for instance, he originally began with a category called hand immobilization. Later, he found that 2 limiting sense immobilizations could be applied to the legs and arms and head as well. It was a simple observation that showed the limits of attaching labels to any concept. The Tao of Jeet Kune Do has no real ending. It serves, instead, as a beginning. It has no style, it has no level, though it's most easily read by those who understand their weapons. To probably every statement within the book, there is an exception: no book could give a total picture of the combat arts. This is simply a work that describes the direction of Bruce's studies. The investigations are left undone, the questions, some elementary and some complex, are left unanswered to make the student question for himself. Likewise, the drawings are often unexplained and may offer only vague impressions. But if they spark a question, if they raise an idea, they serve a purpose. Hopefully, this book will be used as a source of ideas for all martial artists, ideas that should then develop further. Inevitably and regrettably, the book may also cause a rash of Jeet Kune schools, headed by people who know the reputation of the name and very little about the movement. Beware of such schools. If their instructors miss the last, most important line, chances are they fail to understand the book at all. Even the organization of the book means nothing. There are no real lines between speed and power, or between precision and kicking, or hand strikes and range. Each element of combat movement affects those around it. The divisions I've made are only for convenient reading, don't take them too seriously. Use a pencil as you read and cross-reference the related areas you find. Jeet Kune, you see, has no definite lines or boundaries, only those you make yourself. Gilbert L. Johnson. On Zen. To obtain enlightenment in martial art means the extinction of everything which obscures the true knowledge, the real life. At the same time, it implies boundless expansion and, indeed, emphasis should fall not on the cultivation of the particular department which merges into the totality, but rather on the totality that enters and unites that particular department. The way to transcend karma lies in the proper use of the mind and the will. The oneness of all life is a truth that can be fully realized only when false notions of a separate self, whose destiny can be considered apart from the whole, are forever annihilated. Voidness is that which stands right in the middle between this and that. The void is all-inclusive, having no opposite, there is nothing which it excludes or opposes. It is living void, because all forms come out of it, and whoever realizes the void is filled with life and power and the love of all beings. The consciousness of self is the greatest hindrance to the proper execution of all physical action. Turn into a doll made of wood, it has no ego, it thinks nothing, it is not grasping or sticky. Let the body and limbs work themselves out in accordance with the discipline they have undergone. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves. Moving, be like water. Still, be like a mirror. Respond like an echo. Nothingness cannot be defined, the softest thing cannot be snapped. I'm moving and not moving at all. I'm like the moon underneath the waves that ever go on rolling and rocking. It is not, I am doing this, but rather, an inner realization that this is happening through me, or it is doing this for me. The consciousness of self is the greatest hindrance to the proper execution of all physical action. The localization of the mind means its freezing. When it ceases to flow freely as it is needed, it is no more the mind in its suchness. The immovable is the concentration of energy at a given focus, as at the axis of a wheel, instead of dispersal in scattered activities. The point is the doing of them rather than the accomplishments. There is no actor but the action, there is no experiencer but the experience. To see a thing uncolored by one's own personal preferences and desires is to see it in its own pristine simplicity. Art reaches its greatest peak when devoid of self-consciousness. Freedom discovers man the moment he loses concern over what impression he is making or about to make. The perfect way is only difficult for those who pick and choose. Do not like, do not dislike, all will then be clear. Make a hairbreadth difference and heaven and earth are set apart. If you want the truth to stand clear before you, never be for or against. The struggle between for and against is the mind's worst disease. Wisdom does not consist of trying to wrest the good from the evil but in learning to ride them as a cork adapts itself to the crests and troughs of the waves. Let yourself go with the disease, be with it, keep company with it, this is the way to be rid of it. An assertion is then only when it is itself an act and does not refer to anything that is asserted in it. In Buddhism, there is no place for using effort. Just be ordinary and nothing special. Eat your food, move your bowels, Pass water, and when you're tired, go and lie down. The ignorant will laugh at me, but the wise will understand. Establish nothing in regard to oneself. Pass quickly like the non-existent and be quiet as purity. Those who gain lose. Do not precede others, always follow them. Do not run away, let go. Do not seek, for it will come when least expected. Give up thinking as though not giving it up. Observe techniques as though not observing. There is no fixed teaching. All I can provide is an appropriate medicine for a particular ailment. Buddhism's Eightfold Path. The 8 requirements to eliminate suffering by correcting false values and giving true knowledge of life's meaning have been summed up as follows. 1. Right views, understanding, you must see clearly what is wrong. 2. Right purpose, aspiration, decide to be cured. 3. Right speech, speak so as to aim at being cured. 4. Right conduct, you must act. 5. Right vocation, your livelihood must not conflict with your therapy. 6. Right effort, the therapy must go forward at the staying speed, the critical velocity that can be sustained. 7. Right awareness, mind control, you must feel it and think about it incessantly. 8. Right concentration, meditation, learn how to contemplate with a deep mind,